Good morning and welcome. My name is Peter Eulander. I'm the Vice President of Product Marketing for the Cloud Platforms at Citrix. I'm responsible for all of our core technologies that help enterprises and service providers build, manage, and deploy successful clouds. And today we're going to spend some time talking a little bit about our overall vision around cloud services and help you understand some of the strategic intent and products by which we go about empowering businesses with their own clouds. Before we start, it's always a good thing to take a look at what Citrix is focused on. Our core vision is quite simple, and that is building a suite of technologies that create a world where anyone can work and play from anywhere at any time. And when you look at our portfolio of solutions, we believe that the underlying technology that enables this benefit for our users is built around cloud services. And when you look at our core portfolio, we actually have a tremendous amount of success and experience when it comes to empowering companies and users with cloud services. First and foremost, today, our virtualization technology is powering 4 out of the top 5 largest public clouds in production today. 75% of internet users are touching or touched by Citrix technology. So if you think about that, if you're downloading an app on your iPhone or searching for something on Google, most likely that content that you're consuming or that experience that you're having is being driven through a Citrix product, whether it be our Zen Server virtualization technology, our NetScaler, or some of our other infrastructure solutions. Our go-to products are helping users collaborate on a global scale and has positioned us as one of the top 10 SaaS providers on the planet. That means that we actually have to not only deliver applications that work within the web or within the cloud, but we're actually building the infrastructure that enables us to become one of the top SaaS vendors on the planet. And when we look across our entire portfolio, 99% of the Fortune 500 is using Citrix, with over 230,000 customers. And of course, we're very well recognized for what we're delivering today with regards to our desktop and app virtualization. But what I'm hoping to talk about more today is to focus in on 2 of our core priorities inside of the company. And that is this concept of empowering mobile work styles, but even more so, enabling companies, service providers, enterprises, governments, and educational institutions to build, deliver, and manage cloud services across their environment, whether they are consuming them from a public perspective or building them in their own private implementation. And so when we focus in on that whole concept of cloud services, what we're going to talk about is this whole concept of building, bridging, and unifying the experience so that your end users experience this concept of infinite capacity based on the demand and the applications and services they're trying to consume. In order to do this, we believe that this is happening, or this is being caused by a transition in architectures, a transition in technology. And in fact, when we look through the history of technology, this is one of the most transformational events within the market. As we watch the baton being transferred from the cloud era from the PC era to the cloud era, it represents a new way by which we are consuming technology, how IT is delivering technology, and ultimately the architecture, the fundamentals, the development platforms by which people are creating and delivering new cloud services out to the marketplace. At Citrix, we take a fairly pragmatic view on what does that mean. How do we outfit the enterprise, or how do we outfit the organization with regards to how to build your own cloud environment. We actually have some fairly straightforward tenets by which we actually build our products. First and foremost, our architectures are designed from the ground up with true Amazon-style architectures. Now, in a minute, we'll get into the specifics of what does that mean. But if you remember, I mentioned that as we make this transition from the cloud era, from the PC era to the cloud era, it is an architectural shift. It requires new technologies and a new architecture that builds on some of the old, but that's designed from the ground up to deliver cloud services. We also believe that it's important for most of our customers that you want to be relying on technologies that are proven at scale. While the cloud might have been around for the last 10 years, the tools and solutions that are enabling enterprises and organizations to build their own clouds have really only been around for the last couple of years. And rather than building your technologies on beta code or new code, we actually are encouraging our customers to take the proven at-scale reference architectures that customers, the most successful customers, are building their clouds with, and leverage that with regards to how you are building your own cloud. This ties back to that built from the ground up with an Amazon-style cloud, proven at scale in large-scale clouds, and then delivering on interoperability and compatibility with many of the public cloud providers that are out on the marketplace today. In our case, we feel that Amazon has set the standard, and the solutions that we are building help service providers leverage an Amazon-style ecosystem, or enterprises leverage the tools and components that they're already consuming in Amazon and pull them in and take control over them in their own environment. Finally, and we'll get into specific detail around this, the cloud is being driven out of open source. For the first time in the market, we are in a position where open source is actually leading the innovation. When we think about the pioneers of the cloud, the Amazons, the Googles, the Salesforces, or the Yahoos, each and every one of these have been built at scale, leveraging open source components, open source technologies, and open source developers in order to reach the capacity and the direction that they're heading within their organizations. And we believe at Citrix that this is a core tenet for everyone with regards to where cloud is happening, where the innovation is moving, and how we need to basically embrace openness with regards to our technologies for building out cloud services. So going back to that concept of building from the ground up from an Amazon-style cloud, the best way to understand how to build your own cloud is actually to take the largest cloud out in the marketplace today and model it after that. So when we take a look at Amazon, how did they go about building their cloud services? Well, they started with commodity components, standard x86 servers, very lightweight basic networking architecture, and commodity storage. And on top of that, they leveraged the open source Xen hypervisor in order to virtualize and pool all of these resources to create a single view of all of the components that they had within their data center. They built a proprietary orchestration technology on top of that that enabled them to automate the pooling, the delivery, the access, and all of the components by which they could deliver these IT infrastructure resources out to users through an online interface. They built an API that enabled developers to actually add value on top of that platform, so that when you went into an Amazon cloud service, you weren't limited to just what Amazon had built for you, but you could actually access an entire ecosystem of developers, applications, and services that made this platform relevant to you. And then finally, they built a commerce engine on top of that. And what that means is they automated the process for you to come online, swipe a credit card, and get infinite access to resources within their cloud service. And from there, we started to see a whole group of solutions, from dev and test to big data to database as a service or disaster recovery as a service. Now we're talking about the solutions that end customers could come in and access on demand with nothing more than a credit card. They grew an amazing amount of users and created a market with this vision of having simple, immediate access to IT resources and services, and changed a market forever with the solution that they built. Now, why do we focus on Amazon as our core element? They, of course, are not the only cloud provider in the marketplace today, but when you look at them, they are the largest by a factor of 10 in the marketplace when it comes to all of the public cloud providers out in the marketplace. From a capacity perspective, every day they are adding the same amount of capacity to their service as they had on the day they went public back in the early 2000s. From a data center perspective, on a global level, they are doubling their overall footprint and capacity on a yearly basis. And this was a landmark year for them. They reached over $1 billion in revenue of users, of services consumed, and of applications being delivered through the Amazon Web Services Cloud, dwarfing everybody else in their industry. So clearly, they got something right. So when we set out a few years back to create CloudStack, CloudStack becomes that core platform by which we are helping our customers build Amazon-style clouds, enabling them to scale just as fast, grow just as big, and become extremely efficient with regards to their cloud services. So when we take a look at that model I gave you for Amazon-style clouds, we can actually plug through how we actually envision and have built our overall cloud service. So first and foremost, we start by leveraging the fact that Amazon uses the open source Zen hypervisor. We, of course, at Citrix are the providers of the commercial Zen server platform. We can use that as a foundation for driving the virtualization element within a cloud service. Now, because many companies are using a whole different variety of services from VMware or KVM or Hyper-V or even Oracle's virtualization platform, we make sure that we're not just delivering on Zen server, but we deliver the same power across all the virtualization platforms that are available in the marketplace today. CloudStack becomes our orchestration engine, the tool that helps you automate, pool, and deliver IT resources to your users out in the marketplace. And we built an API that is not only compatible with Amazon, but also enables our ecosystem partners to take advantage of the platform that we've built so that they can extend their services into a CloudStack environment, or enterprises can customize their developer actions to work within the cloud environment that meets their business needs. We've also built Cloud Portal, right? If the whole concept of building and managing your own cloud is to remove the pairs of hands in between a service request and service delivery, you need to automate this in a very user-friendly, intuitive manner that enables your users to gain access and consume the IT services that you're delivering today. And Cloud Portal is exactly that, your application and cloud vending machine that enables you to deliver these services under your policy on demand, but fully automated, so you actually are removing the time and the pairs of hands that are required between service delivery and service request. Right? So this is how we have envisioned Cloud Platform, and it's a product that we deliver today. It's production ready, already powering over 140 clouds today, both on the service provider side and the enterprise side. So when you think about companies like GoDaddy or SoftLayer, DataPipe or KT, all of these guys are leveraging CloudStack in order to, or Cloud Platform in order to deliver their public cloud services in the marketplace today. We integrate Zen Server Advanced Edition, right? We take all of the goodness of our open source hypervisor platform and build in enterprise class features that increase security, reliability, and performance, and we make that part of the platform for everyone. Of course, you can still use the virtualization platform that you might have in your data center. We have native integration with Citrix NetScaler. So I talked about the fact that 75% of internet traffic today is touching a NetScaler product. This is how we basically build in advanced networking features for load balancing or for security, for performance and optimization around delivering applications and services to your users, already built into CloudStack today. And we have technical support and upgrades and services et cetera, that enable you to actually take what's based on an open source platform and deliver in a commercial environment so that you can actually build your cloud exactly the way the world's most successful clouds are built today. Now, while virtualization is at the foundation or at the core of many cloud services out there, I want to remind everybody that cloud is not a next generation server virtualization tool. Many of my competitors out there today start with their enterprise virtualization platform and layer in a user experience that start to deliver some of the automation, but at the end of the day, it doesn't enable for the scale, it doesn't enable for the growth, and it doesn't enable for the performance for how you actually need to start delivering these services to ensure that your customers are successful and you're meeting the service level requirements that you must in your deployment. So we take a look at Zen Server. This is the foundation for clouds all over the planet, right? We mentioned companies like Rackspace and GoDaddy. 1&1 and Rackspace are also building their cloud services on top of Zen Server as their virtualization platform. And today, we have over 100,000 private data centers leveraging Citrix Zen Server as the foundation for their private cloud environments. Now, that said, we take a look at the pioneers of the cloud, the Googles, the Facebooks, and the Salesforces, right? When they went out to build their cloud services, they didn't start with a legacy enterprise virtualization platform. They started from scratch leveraging open source technologies that enabled them to build the service platform that met the needs of their business and met the needs of their customers. And in fact, when we look at the left of that slide, right, so the Googles of the world, they're actually starting to achieve this from a bare metal perspective. So virtualization, while it is a foundation of the cloud, it's also not necessarily the absolute with regards to how you want to think about your service. And another part of that actually comes down to what you need to be thinking about when you're building your cloud, right? Server virtualization, when it was first born and where it is today, is really focused on a scale-up architecture. How do I take a big box, slice it up into little components, and then leverage that for efficiency, optimization, and utilization within my single data center? It works extremely well for classic enterprise class applications. It does not work extremely well for the cloud. And the reason for that is the cloud fundamentally is a scale out architecture, not designed for horizontal scale, or vertical scale, focused on horizontal scale, right? And when you think about that, that goes well beyond a single data center and actually means that you want to have these pools of resources available in a globally distributed environment and then ultimately managed from one central location. The minute you start looking at a cloud from this perspective, classic server virtualization falls down. And this is why we're so focused on saying that in order to build a real production scale cloud, you need to think beyond what server virtualization brings today, and you have to look at the architecture that enables you to not only scale out within your data center, but actually look at a globally distributed model. That doesn't mean you have to start with that vision in mind when you first deploy your cloud. We've found with our customers that the most successful way to start that journey to the cloud is to start small. Identify the workload that makes the most sense for your business, right? In many cases, it might be development and test. We're seeing success in small-scale clusters for research and development, mobile application delivery, etc. Usually confined to a small project and a small set of users. But once you gain the experience, once you start to see the leverage of that cloud, you want an environment that enables you to scale out. The model of a cloud orchestration tool, the model of Cloud Stack and the Citrix Cloud Platform is such that you can start small. And as you expand and grow that strategy and the rollout of your cloud within your organization, it's something as simple as just adding more capacity, adding more resources, versus having to basically bolt on new data centers or go beyond the limits of the technology you might have in place today. Now, one thing that's absolutely key when you look at cloud orchestration in the marketplace today is cloud is not about lock-in. And you actually hear a lot about that. It's one of the most important things enterprises, CIOs, and service providers are thinking about as they go down the path of building their cloud service. The cloud must be open. If you remember, I talked about the pioneers of the cloud have all leveraged open source technologies in order to become successful in the rollout of their clouds. And in fact, if you were to take the top 10 cloud providers in the marketplace today and actually rank them based on where they were with regards to the technology adoption and the solutions that they're using, those in the top 5 are all using open source and open technologies, and as you get further down in success and further down in scale, that's where you start seeing the proprietary nature. So one of the lessons learned from that, open wins in the cloud. Open is setting the agenda for how the cloud is evolving over time. Now at Citrix, we took a close look at all of the open source initiatives out in the marketplace to really understand where is the cloud being driven from. And when you start to look at the projects that are defining the cloud, from Hadoop for big data, or Cassandra for the NoSQL movement, or Apache for the web services, all of these are happening within the Apache Software Foundation, and we felt that that was absolutely the most important organization that we could align with when building our cloud technologies. And so earlier this year, we contributed Cloud Stack, our own cloud orchestration platform to the Apache Software Foundation, and today it's on its way to becoming a top-level project in Apache. This means it has a copyleft licensing model. That means anybody can access it, anyone can modify it, anyone can engage with our developers to innovate within the platform. Freely available, right? Completely eliminates all notions of lock-in and brings it to scale with one of the most open foundations on the planet today. And when we did this, we didn't do this alone. We did this with over 50 partners announcing support for the platform and support for the initiative and engaging in the Apache Software Foundation to help us move this technology forward. In fact, today, the Apache software product, the Apache Cloud Stack project, actually has close to 300 developers working on it, representing over 70 companies worldwide in moving this project forward. So that's really exciting that we've seen that level of uptick in participation in the community. I'll leave you with this as you start thinking about how you're going to make your journey to the cloud and how you want to start building your own services within your own environment. If you remember, one of the core tenets is base your solution on proven technology. Learn from those that have gone before you and recognize that you don't have to be on version 1.0 or 2.0. You can actually learn from a platform that today is powering over $1 billion in cloud revenue. Successfully powering over 150 large-scale clouds from brands and organizations that many of you recognize in the marketplace today. Apache Cloud Stack is exactly that platform. The world's largest and most successful open source cloud platform on the market. And Citrix is building off of that foundation with a commercial solution called Citrix Cloud Platform to help our customers build, manage, deploy, and operate their own cloud. And we take that platform and we embody it with all of those elements of what we have within our organization, from NetScaler and XenServer to ShareFile for storage services and other components, so that we can learn and grow not only the platform but make our customers successful. And for those of you that take on this challenge and start building your clouds, you'll find a fundamental shift within your IT environment, right? For one, your users and their ability to work from any device, from anywhere, at any time, become happier in their overall work experience because they're not waiting for the services. They're getting them when they need them, how they need them, where they need them. And from an IT perspective, you become more secure, more flexible, and more automated, meaning that you're freeing up all of your resources to focus on strategic business decision, more agile IT functions. Cloud becomes a strategic weapon for how you compete in the marketplace. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to engaging with you soon.